Most people in life are looking to the local news reporters to do their jobs. You see, when I returned from university, I learned what it took to produce magazines. And in my life, I produced a magazine. I created a magazine for my community. It was a bilingual magazine. I also created a newsletter for my company, actually two, for both sides of my programming. One for educational, one for marketing. It means that I produced my life off of my education. There are some people that don't produce a life because they don't produce education for themselves. Instead, they play in to people's lives. They lie about their rights to play in, and then they walk away like the interaction didn't mean one thing to the Lord. Isn't that interesting? That people think they have rights to other people's lives. Today, I was seated at the bus stop. A Filipino woman walked up to me and handed me $5 and said, "Here, sweetie." My first insult was she called me sweetie as if I was a child or somehow an endearment to her. I am not anywhere related to her. I didn't know that stranger at all. When I asked her what the money was for, she said, "Well, because I have money and you don't, and aren't you homeless?" And I said, "Well, practically I'm waiting for a bus. I am homeless, but that's not the point. Why are you giving me money?" And once again she said, "Because she had it and I don't." So what I learned was that my life was worth $5. Now, as a part of my homeless initiative, I do encourage people who want to do something for a homeless person to give them $5 so that they might eat a meal at their discretion. But there are the players in the community that sit on the curb and bang a cup on the ground and expect to get pocket change from anyone, even children. I'm not quite like that. What I've learned is to today that most places don't sell a $5 meal anymore, except for McDonald's, and God bless them, because they realize that poverty still has loyalty. That when people have no money, they go to McDonald's. The food is reasonably good. The real estate is excellent, of course, which was the whole purpose of Ray Kroc's investment originally, according to the people that I've learned from in my life about business. But I chose to learn from people. I chose to listen to people. I choose to listen to other people. I choose to allow people to tell me their life story and not involve my own emotions or psychology or intellect in their life story unless they push me to do so. What pisses me off to no end as a reporter are these women folk who think they have rights to my manhood in some way. Later in the day, when I tried once again to get on the bus, I have learned to leave places like that because I'm not interested in some individual from a foreign land thinking that because she provided me some sort of money that she has the right to paw me in the middle of the night or take something from me as a trophy or prize to her gift to me. You see, when people provide money as a gift, it is a gift. It might have a tax, it might have a non-for-profit vehicle, but the truth is, it is a philanthropic gesture. It doesn't entitle you to one thing, especially if the person promised you nothing. In my lifetime as a reporter, I have seen all sorts of things, especially in the last 3 to 6 to 7 months, of how people are violating human rights. The lady that drove up the second time literally drove up to me and asked me an improper question as if she had a right to know. "Are you waiting for the bus?" I answered her honestly because I'm accustomed to that, but I was pretty offended. I thought, who the hell starts a conversation like that? It's a dumb question. It gives a yes or no answer. And frankly, it's not her business. I couldn't tell if she was someone who works for the company trying to screw me over, or if she's just some player in this larger game of the people who are illegally, immorally, and illicitly shaving my beard off as if they have rights to my body over me. I am raging over this issue. I am actually outraged, and the Lord speaks in ways that you can't fathom in my life. I could tell you magical stories about how God provides, but people are so off God's track today, it's not even funny. But let me continue what happened. She then said, "Would you like a sack or a bag?" And I said, "No, because usually they have food in it that are laced with things, and I'm not interested." She then left offended. Not at one moment did she say, "Listen, I'm working on this particular project of caring for people, and I'd love to share with you some things that we have set aside for people who are in struggle." She didn't say anything like that. It was like a test of some kind. I am not putting in a play for anyone's position. I have applied to be a lay pastor at a church because I need the money and I need a safe place to be. That pastor has never responded to me about one thing I requested. Not one. But let's talk about the churches locally. One church gave me a phone, but somebody stole that phone and has been playing on my phone ever since. I'm pretty sure I know the location and the people doing it. I'm pretty sure I know how they're playing. I'm pretty sure I know how they're pretending to go in places with lock-picking skills and pretending to be related to those places so they can pick up shit they want to and then try and blame it on someone else. That's what liars do. They steal and then they lie about it. The other problem is that people in life don't recognize people's human rights. No one had the human right to give me something to sleep so that I could not wake in any way when they were pilfering through my pockets and played with my government-protected ID that was under 3 or 4 layers of clothing to keep it safeguarded from the monsters of the world. At the same time, no one gave a police officer the right to roll me in 2 places in the community that was not their lawful right to do it. I am planning to sue both officers personally for violating my right to privacy and my right to freedom of movement. I'm going to take that little girl out of her position who made the phone call allegedly to police, or was that just a lie that the police officer told me that someone called? That is their favorite line in the book. But here's the reality. Once I apologized for having fallen asleep in a facility, I didn't have to have any more conversation. I was not breaking the law. It is not immoral or illegal for a person to sit down when they're tired and fall asleep. It is not really trespassing. If I was invited there as a guest of someone in the building that I recently met, that is my right to be there. If I can't produce the name in seconds for that man, that is not my fault. That person who invited me has a right to privacy of his people and his new acquaintances and his network. These police officers who play into these religious groups as well as these retail establishments, getting the employees to violate federal law in mobbing techniques are outlandish. It's absolutely true. I hate police officers. I absolutely don't trust them. I think they lie, steal, and cheat, and I've had so much of my property stolen from me by sheriff, it's not even funny. I never got my duffel bags back from my incarceration the second time. I don't know where my lock-up keys for my storage are. I don't know where my social security cards are. I can't find my birth certificates that there were 4 of, and openly I had plenty of gifts for Christmas in that bag for the persons that I love. All of those things have been pilfered. I had a pair of presentation pants and red shirts and other things a man needs to prepare for his life. But openly, no one thought that my life insurance policies had any value in that situation. The woman who did the work, which was, first of all, immoral for her to do it, to strip me out of my clothes, even though a man was present, it was wrong. And openly, they should have made a detailed list of all my property, no matter how tedious it was. One of the officers that was keeping me held, and allegedly my recreation officer for my little daily exercise and shower during the week and during the day, if I so chose and if they so chose to remember me, was literally the one who said, yeah, it's true that if they've got nothing documented, that's absolutely true that it could be stolen at impound. And what did happen? I went after I was released, finally, to go pick up my property with the paper they gave me, and they didn't have it at all. Whether the girl lied or she tried to say it was elsewhere, I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her 1 second. It was all a part of the play in the game of screwing a man out of his life. And if my documents are gone now, who's going to pay for the replacement of how much time and energy it took to get those things? My life insurance policy information was in there with all sorts of paperwork to sign so that I could do things to release it to certain people and other things. But openly, if I say that online, some fucking police officer will probably lie, sign my name, and do shit. But here's the thing that pisses me off to no end as a reporter, and you can probably tell by my tone I'm not happy right now. It's not that I'm not happy in my life. I love my life. I love meeting people when they're polite. I love meeting different types of animals along the road. And last night I almost got run over by a damn field mice. I was schlepping along, and all of a sudden this little thing went zoom, right practically underneath my feet, around my feet, over feet. It was sort of hard to tell at first because it was dark out and he's black. It was a black mouse. But the truth is, the Lord provides me that help. And when the shithead police are around, I have birds that tell me with 100% when they're around. The birds shift based on where I am in the community is absolute truth, but the Lord protects my life. I guarantee He will not protect the lives of the liars and thieves of my life. You see, as a pastor now, I don't have to produce one certificate, because every time I do produce something, someone steals it. I've had papers in my pockets go and come back, and I'm not the one removing them. The mental health of the OSF are screwing people out of their rights. I'm pretty sure they're violating people's bodies with all sorts of things. But when I lay down in what I consider a safe place to sleep, because I need a place to be in a shelter outside of the rights of other people, I expect the people of that property to go, gosh, we have a home, we have food, we have children, we have a life, and this gentleman has clearly gone through a loss. And we're not going to touch him, we're not going to physically assault him, we're not going to shave his face, we're not going to paint his hands with poison, and we're not going to harm him 1 second, because our lives are superior to his. And at any moment we could lose our lives to be where he is today. You see, people don't have that level of empathy. When I see a homeless person or someone panhandling, I immediately ask the Lord, do I give them my money? And I have the least of money in my pocket. I've gone from having 2 cents to having $100. I've gone from having 20 cents to having $200. But the Lord provides from loving people. But those people don't have the right to purchase one thing from my storage bin, and I don't even know where my storage bin is because people have illegally and immorally negotiated my property. Who the hell gave them the right to do that? And at the same time, my storage unit contracts were in my property bags. So you see, police officers and sheriff can do whatever the hell they want to people, and they don't care. I'm tired of this game that they play. Aren't you? If this was your life story, how would you feel? Do you have the empathetic ability to listen to a man's rage and feel that outrage too? Or do you think it's a funny game to be an employee of an international or national retail establishment playing into people who walk in and say, what did that person purchase? So that that person can go looking through that and pilfering through that person's body, molesting them, and what I mean by that is their clothing or their property, molesting them, raping them, and doing things to them to receive the things that that person just purchased. Do you know how many times I've had lemonade stolen out of my pockets? It's outlandish that people think they have the right to touch another human being when they're sleeping. Isn't that what we call rape? It's almost a form of it, and I can't prove that someone hasn't plied those pants open on me at all. I have woken up in towns when I had a vehicle with my pants open and my money gone. So, let's be real today. We have people that don't know the law of international human rights that apply to our nation. We have people that don't recognize federal law in terms of the amendments, especially the 4th, that says we have the right to personhood, paperwork, and property without somebody pilfering it from us. And lastly, we have people who are so immoral that they don't recognize where their personal boundaries begin and end. This is a recording, absolutely. I am the Dragon Priest 100%. The people who are closest to my heart know what those things mean. I have written a movie, I have written a play, I have written a personal book on God, but someone stole that. And openly, I have literally 15 years of Japanese language programming that is being pilfered in 24 thumb drives by sheriff because I never got my property bags back. I have people who've monkeyed with my larger drives at my sister's residence, and openly they were immoral in ever touching my property. No human relation to me has any lawful right to me as an adult man. And any time these people continue to lie, steal, and cheat, they are screwing their own lives. They may never get caught by police because police love to play these games, in my opinion. And what do we see all the time in the news? These officers getting into trouble for all sorts of stuff because they are immoral. Maybe that's what we're hiring today. But whatever happened to the military police who handled things in a professional, regardful, honorable way, honoring the laws of our land? The federal people, where are they? You see, I am not an FBI agent, although as a child I wanted to be one until I realized I'd have to shoot someone and kill them, and I wasn't really ready for that responsibility given the 10 Commandments that says, thou shalt not kill. But at the same time, I'm not CIA, although I'm smart enough probably to work in the team and point to people. And here's the stupidest thing. I've been pointing to the illegals here for the last, I don't know, since December. And these police officers keep pissing on my life instead of going and taking care of those who are doing illegal and immoral things. That is what makes me outraged the most. That you can't provide one tip without getting your life screwed over further. Go ahead, test it. Go to the tip lines and put in a tip on something that you feel is real. Not someone you want to screw over, but something that is really real, that you've observed enough times that you're like, there's something really funny there. You see, you don't do it on a one-time incidence. Now, let me get back to the point of my story. The immorality of that woman was that she thought she had the right to purchase things for a total stranger and provide him a bag that she couldn't even introduce in a professional way. My point is quite clear, that if you're going to do this plastic bag stuff of supplies, you might hold up the plastic bag and say, I have some supplies that sometimes are helpful to people in struggle. Would there be anything at all in this plastic bag that would be helpful to you at this time in your life that we could gift to you with the promise that is not tainted, that is not illegal, that has not been stolen, and that we're not going to claim that you're soliciting us for anything at all? We're doing this out of the love of Lord Jesus. We're trying to walk his faith. We're trying to prove not that we're a Christian. We're trying to prove that in God's name people go. You see, there's a big difference by saying, I'm a Christian, so I want to do this. No, you've just claimed that Christianity is protecting me. That's a lie. I've been to many churches, and none of them helped me to get out of the freezing cold in the winter. My hands are black, possibly, from the frostbite. But I froze many nights when many Christians said, oh, welcome to our church, and then pissed all over my property bags. You see, Christians have lost their way in Jesus' name. They think they have the right to presume and judge that they know something or they can tell what's a lie. You can't tell one thing about another person off of one interaction. It's not true. That you can't presume that every person who plays into your church seeking help isn't looking to find the Lord through you. You see, we walk our faith every single day, and even as a homeless person, I have given money to other people in need. Even if it was my last quarter, I've given it. When the Lord tells me in the Holy Spirit way, please give him that quarter. We will take care of you later. And you know what? The Lord protects my life. He totally cares for me. And he has told me that my love will eventually pull her head out of her ass. Understand she is late. Get that she needs me and will get here without me getting raped for the 100th time in the night. Her life is intertwined with mine in the Lord's house, regardless with what any other person's opinion might be on it. And my other soulmate also is responsible for many harms in my life, but she is also at risk as long as we are not interconnected in the trio of life. People who don't study the Lord's house don't recognize all of God's creations. People who don't read about religions of the world don't recognize that the Lord is in everything. And people who don't understand and honor our earth never get the beauty of the animals that literally will walk up to me like a squirrel and go, you got food for me today? And that is an amazing situation. But you can laugh at what I share, but the truth is the native Indians knew this long ago, and we live in the Midwest and across the land that was once inhabited by people of a native land, a native tribe, a native belief in the Great Yellow Father or the Great Divine Mother, and openly all we've done is change the language of what God is to us today. In my Magic and Mayhem audiocasts, they can be short, they can be long, they can be reporter stories, they can be love stories, they can be anything on which I choose to render an opinion. If you like them, wonderful. If you don't listen. But don't monkey with my life, because I would never dream of walking into your house or walking into your life and saying, you're going to do this right now because I feel it's right for you. I don't know you well enough. The only one I long to see is my love and her children. Beyond that, I don't give a shit about your life because you haven't been able to prove yourself to me is not it. It's because we don't have a life path that belong together. If we do, you'll be along for the ride. If we don't, you'll play in, you'll play out. But the people who've messed with my beard and dishonored the Lord in that, owe me thousands of dollars. The retail establishment whose employees played in to ruin my rights to network, to shop safely, to have property along with me, owe me thousands of dollars. The hospitals that monkeyed with my mental health records and other physical health records owe me money, and the Muslim at the jail who has been plying and violating my body will go to prison. End of the story. Promise of the Lord, and I believe in God Most High. Thanks for listening.